might be crying.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Marion County Board of County Commissioners, I thank you for joining us today. It is June the 4th, 2019. Can't believe it's already this time of the year. And we're here in the Marion County Auditorium, located at 601 Southeast 25th Avenue for our regularly scheduled board meeting. If you'll please stand with me for an invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to start with a moment of silence for the passing of our Fire and Rescue Lieutenant, Michael Drake, as well as others within our Marion County family have lost friends and loved ones in this recent time period, so please join me in a moment of silence. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you with love and gratitude for the many blessings that you have provided to us. As a board that you have appointed, we're grateful for the opportunity to lead, and we ask that you give us wisdom and courage to do so. We ask that you'll keep a hedge of protection around our community and protect those that protect us. There are those in our community that feel a deep loss and emptiness from the loss of friends and loved ones. Please comfort them as only you can as they mourn. Lord, I ask these things in the precious name of Jesus, and we thank you because we know you hear our prayer. Amen.
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 Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you'll please provide our roll call.
Chairman Stone?
Here.
Vice Chairman Moore?
Here.
Commissioner Bryant? Here. Commissioner Gold?
Here.
Commissioner Zalek?
Here.
Very good. Thank you again for being with us today. I will ask if you have an electronic device, if you'll please set it to silent or turn it off. If you do need to have a conversation or you need to talk on your device, I'll ask if you'll please step out into the foyer. You'll still be able to hear the proceedings in the auditorium as there is a speaker out there. I'll start with our announcements. June 4th, 10 a.m. this morning, we will have a public hearing for the adoption of a Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act resolution, which is required by Section 147F on the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 related to the Florida Hospital Ocala, Inc., Advent Ocala. Soon thereafter, we'll have another public hearing to consider the termination of the development agreement between Marion County and TAO Marion Properties, LLC. Immediately behind that public hearing, we will have a continuation of a public hearing to consider Cedar Shores Industrial Park Road Improvement Area. June the 11th through the 14th, Marion County Board of County Commissioners, many of us will be away to attend the Florida Association of Counties annual conference. And on June the 18th at 9 a.m., we'll be back in our auditorium for our regularly scheduled commission meeting, which takes place on the third Tuesday of every month. At 2 p.m. that same afternoon, we'll continue that commission meeting with the zoning portion again here in the auditorium. So now that we've had those announcements, our first item of business will be to approve the proclamations and presentations. We've got a motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Bryant. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. We'll start with 1A presentation, and Mr. Elsperman, Clerk of the Court and Comptroller, I'll turn this to you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my privilege and honor to present to you today the comprehensive annual financial report and a report by external auditors for Marion County government processes as well as your constitutional officers. With us today we have Purvis and Gray, Mark White, and Allison Stone. And with Crippen and Company, who does the constitutional officers, is Matt White and Margaret McGuire. So I present them, and they're going to make a presentation of the CAFR to you in the
Thank
audit.
you. Welcome, Mr. White and all.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Clerk Elsperman.
We've had all the introductions. We are essentially here to conclude the audit process by reporting back to the governing board to review a summary. In spite of repeated requests to go page by page, we're gonna do a summary of our various auditors' reports. As you know, the Florida statutes require that all local governments undergo a financial audit, and I always like to begin our presentations with that because the word audit can mean different things to different people. It's an imprecise term, left without an adjective, financial audit. And the primary scope of a financial audit is for external CPAs, independent of your organization, to examine your financial statements, the notes, all the required disclosures, and to opine if they are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles in the United States. We, of course, our procedures are governed by the rules of the Auditor General, as well as government auditing standards that we must follow in the conduct of that audit. So there's a lot of things going on. You also receive a significant amount of federal and state grant funds that require additional compliance auditing. So we have reports in this document on that. And to summarize the results of the audit, the primary auditor's report is, again, on the financial statements. And in that report, we have told you that we've audited the statements. It goes on to tell you that the responsibility for the accurate and complete presentation of those financial statements rests with your management, not with us, and that our responsibility is to express an opinion based upon our audit procedures. The opinion we've expressed is a clean opinion, or it's referred to in our vernacular as an unmodified opinion, and it says that we do believe that the financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So that's the first main report. We're also required to look at internal control and compliance with laws and regulations that could possibly affect your financial reporting. And we're pleased to indicate that the audit indicates no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in your internal controls over financial reporting. And that's a significant item to note, and it's been that way for quite a while. And I think that's I know as auditors, we certainly appreciate coming to a place like this where that is a high priority of your management. And I can tell you that a lot of our auditors' reports are not free of material weaknesses and significant deficiencies. So that's something for y'all to be proud of. There are additional reports on your compliance with the investment laws of the state of Florida. Again, I think all of those are clean, essentially boilerplate language reports. So I think overall things went very well this year. We were pleased to see that you were able to add to the fund balance of your general fund for the third year in a row. We had previously discussed that with you when that fund balance was falling as you were having expenditures in excess of the revenues. We're very pleased to see that that's turned around, and even if it's a little bit, adding to that fund balance is much better than taking away from it. So I think that's about all I wanted to say, other than a few closing remarks. I thought maybe take a few questions, comments, if any.
Mr. White, I do have a few comments after going through it, and one, I appreciate the time that everyone took, that I sat in with everyone on behalf of the board to get a detailed report. But there are some pages that I think are extremely well to highlight.
Sure.
And that would be in our statistical section, and I'll be brief, but I do want public record to reflect a little bit of some of these numbers, starting on page 220. Looking at, and this would be something if someone wants to pull the CAFR as well, I would suggest that you really look at this backstory because it does give a historical mark of the last 10 years of population growth as well as our per capita income and several things. But I'm going to highlight a few things if you don't mind. Just for our record, from 2009 to current 2018, our population has grown over 23,391, which I think shows again how our community continues to increase. Our per capita income has increased over $7,000 in this 10-year period. Our school enrollment has gone up by over 1,383 more children. Going over to page 222 through 223, just taking a look at that, this reflects the employees by function and program of Marion County government. And in the last 10 years, we have decreased government size and still are operating 163 employees below what we were 10 years ago. And we've had some go up and some come down and stay down across the board, but I think that that is certainly something to highlight, that we continue to ask a lot of our staff, especially if you look over to page 224 and 225, the services that are provided. Our utility systems have increased customer base by over 4,200. Our building inspections have doubled since 2009 from 11,124 to 21,943. Fire emergency responses have gone up from over 58,000 to 79,570. That's a 21,529 increase in outbound or inbound calls, as well as our inspections, 577 inspections. And here's where the penny sales tax really reflects as well. From street repairs in 2009, 44,851. We've gone to 490,406. And so again, services provided just continue to increase. Government staffing continues to be managed very strategically, I'm going to say, and judiciously, being good stewards on behalf of our community. And I'm sure these are some numbers that we'll keep in mind as we go into our budget workshops and we look at the budget going forward. But we appreciate you sharing all of this with us and helping put it into a format that's easily accessible as well as very easy to read. If anyone has any questions about this, you certainly are welcome to contact our clerk of the court with any additional questions and to help you as citizens to understand and see the transparency of your tax dollars at work. So.
Yes, Madam Chairman, what you were reading from is the statistical section. I mentioned previously, you're required to have an audit in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles by the laws of the state of Florida. The county has for many years participated in this GFOA program for the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. The statistical section is a part of that expanded program that goes well beyond the minimum required by law. So there's a wealth of information in the statistical information, as well as other things that are included in this report. And this document will satisfy all of your external financial reporting requirements.
Well, thank you. Again, we certainly appreciate the level of expertise that we have on staff, as well as the consistent standard of excellence that Mr. Ellsperman and his team provide to us, as well as the outside auditors. So thank you.
And we would like the board also to know that we get outstanding cooperation everywhere we go from all 5 of the constitutional officers and their staff to the board staff. Of course, we work the closest with your finance department led by John Gary, and we'd like to acknowledge his contributions and many others, Tina as well, but John especially, in that I believe this is John's last audit presentation before retiring later this year, and he has been a cornerstone anchor for the county's finance and accounting department, and we certainly want to acknowledge his career.
Indeed we do. Before he leaves, I'm sure we're going to give him a well send-off.
You notice that John smiled when that word retirement came up? I noticed a big old smile on his face. I don't think he's looking forward to it or anything.
Madam
That's all
Chair,
we
if I
have.
can, it was mentioned relationships are important in this process. And not only that relationship with external auditors, but I have to recognize county administration and your respect in relationship to my responsibilities as your comptroller. It provides us an opportunity to be professional in what we do. Munir's been awesome and his staff to work with, and all the department heads. This wouldn't be achievable without that process as well and the controls you place within those departments. So, as Mr. White mentioned, it's about controls and relationships. So, and also just for the citizens out there, this is publicized on our website, and it's I believe we put some of it in the public library as well, so it's easily accessible online.
Very good. Thank you again, Mr. Elsperman. Mr. White, do you have anything else in closing?
I think that's it.
Okay, very good. Well, this is just a presentation. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today and the work that you've put into this to make it so nice and easy to read. So
Thank you.
have a lovely day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next presentation will be Marion County 2019 Legislative Summary. I believe we have John Wayne Smith with us from Peoples, Smith and Matthews to share some exciting information of what took place in Tallahassee this past year.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Exciting wasn't the word I was going to use, but we can use that. I'm happy to be here. It's been about 30 days since the end of legislative session. It concluded on Saturday, May the 4th. It's always good to kind of get out and share some of the information, and I'm extremely pleased because I survived my 29th legislative session.
We are too.
That's why it's so exciting.
Yeah. So just kind of the short and sweet summary of kind of how 2019 worked. For me, the easiest way to describe it is if you're interested in numbers and in budgets, that was kind of worn and won by the Florida Senate. It's pretty much aligns more with their initial proposal and more of their priorities. If you look at policy side, I would say that things line up a little bit more with what the House and what the Speaker wanted. And I think if you understand politics, that's kind of how things negotiate. They both kind of wanted it to kind of work that way, and that's the way it worked. And with new governor, new cabinet, new leadership, I thought that it was a pleasant surprise that they were able to kind of, with all the new faces, new personalities, to kind of come to that end. It didn't mean that it didn't create some challenges, that there weren't some issues that local governments might not have been excited about at every meeting, but it did allow the process to work. Before I went into some of the details, though, I wanted to just recognize a few things. There are some wins I want to highlight that Marion County cared about, but that comes about not just because of Peoples, Smith and Matthews in Tallahassee. There's a lot of other background work and a lot of other things that go into those successes. And I don't know if we say it enough, but how we get our information and how we stay abreast of what is really important to Marion County is through Jeannie Rickman. And I think that everyone should understand that when we are trying to analyze bills or find out where we should be focusing our time, I don't speak to all of the staff, but Jeannie helps us facilitate that process so that we do get the right information that we need so that we're there to protect Marion County's interests. And I want folks to know that Jeannie makes that process very easy. Now, sometimes she does send emails and texts at like 5 in the morning. It's alarming, but no, she's very helpful in that process. And I also want to thank you guys as a board. You guys are always very involved. You come to Tallahassee, you use your own relationships and use your own background and expertise and come and push and make folks understand that, yes, these are take-home issues and that y'all really do care about them. And last but not least, it's your delegation. You have one of the greatest delegations in terms of their chemistry and the way that they kind of work together. No one tries to outdo each other. Everybody kind of shares the workload, and it's almost like without someone there to tell them, they all kind of have their own little jobs and their own little assignments. And so for us to know kind of where to go to work on certain things is what helps make all of this very successful. So,
John Wayne?
yes.
And just for the public who may be watching or people who are sitting here in the audience today, why don't you go ahead and let them know who our legislative delegation are?
Oh, I'm going to leave somebody out.
We'll
So
help
we'll
you.
start with the Senate. We have Senator Baxley has the majority of Marion County, but then also Senator Keith Perry has a small chunk, and Senator Bradley, I don't even know if he has people in it, but I know he has a little itty bitty piece, does he, on the Gilchrist side. In your House, both former county commissioners, Representative Stan McLean and Representative Charlie Stone, have the two biggest chunks. I believe Representative Clovis Watson has a small piece. I don't know if the Villages comes up, if you still have that other piece.
It's House Representative Brent Hague.
Yes.
Has a piece as well.
Yeah, so I knew I was going to leave someone because of the way the districts always change. But yes, an outstanding delegation, and thank you for reminding me to do that. So to talk a little bit about some of the specifics, we had three areas where we were focused on in the budget and working on particular projects. And one of our biggest has been the nursing home. One of the difficulties of our project is that we have been impacted by the ones that are in front of us. When we went through our process initially and did our application, St. Lucie went before us, and then in the meantime, since that, we've had a renovation project in the state, Lake Alfred near Orlando, that's kind of impacted how we've gotten ours off the ground. So we've gotten some of our planning and design money, but in trying to get construction money this year, because those two projects have had delays, those two projects have had cost overruns. The discussion and the feedback to us is, look, if we're going to do construction or capital outlay, we're going to end up doing it there first. And so there was the debate over how much or if they were going to actually do anything in that capital outlay side and just not just their operating. So being in that position and knowing that we had last year's planning and design, one of the things that we've wanted to do specifically is to make sure that we hold our spot in line because there's been a long period of time from our application to actually having shovels in the ground. We wanted specific language that designated or said something about Marion County's nursing home being the 9th. So we drafted some language that they could put in the back of the bill that was basically a reversion or a reappropriation of last year's, but we restated it in a way that it says that the 9th state nursing home is Marion County. So that is our win for that because the monies are not flowing through the capital until we can kind of get those other two projects off the ramp and out of our way. We can't pass them. But that was a way just to get the state to say it and to put it on paper so that every time we go up there, we don't have to keep asking or begging not to lose our spot. So that is proviso. I think you have a copy. I wanted everybody to have copies of what's in there. The other major issue that we wanted to talk about this year, which was a little bit new, we've been talking to DEP about the master plan for Silver Spring State Park and some of the things that we wanted to do there. That was another win for Marion County, is that of the state park funding, we're one of two that specifically got designated. We have $1.5 million designated for Silver Springs to implement that master plan. So I wanted to point that out. Another issue that we've worked on for many years is the continuation of the Southeast Livestock Pavilion. Because we had the other two and they were ranked higher, we really focused on those. And those ag pots being competitive, we were not successful this year there, but that's still something that on a recurring basis we can still go back and look at. So that kind of covers some of the budget stuff that we focused on. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the policy initiatives because they are somewhat challenging. We use the T word when we want to talk about some of the flexibility that we want to do in the local option sales tax arena. The good news is that we were able to get the bill filed. We actually put the words on paper. I think we struggled in the latter part because our Senate sponsor really got consumed by Hurricane Michael. At the end of the day, we wanted Senator Mumford to kind of be our Senate sponsor because the other kind of strategic thing that we had done was combine Marion County's interest in being able to do for operational purposes and perhaps be able to do it to offset property tax revenue. We wanted to combine that concept with some issues that small counties had. So when we put them together, that made it, some would say heavier, others would say, well, it got us a constituency or a caucus that might be on our side. At the end of the day, in the House in particular, talking about local government revenue issues is still difficult. No matter all the education that we tried to do, I don't think that we ever convinced the speaker or the fourth floor or his staff that what we were doing was revenue neutral, that we weren't raising anything or increasing anything. So I think that's an issue that we're going to have to kind of revisit. I've talked to Representative Stone, who was the House sponsor this last go-round. I think in his mind, he would like to decouple the issues, and he would just like to do the infrastructure component by itself. Now, if we do that, we're going to probably have to revisit and see who we want to do it in the Senate. I'm not sure what Senator Mumford wants to do, if that's a big issue for him, if he wants to stay on the small county. But I think we could have the conversation with Senator Baxley or somebody about just matching up and just doing a very simplified version and attacking just the Marion County issue. So that's something that we continue to work on for next year. I did want to highlight one of the bigger pots, and this is in the septic to sewer world. The state continues to fund springs and doing other things to try to improve water quality. I want to mention these because you have two water management districts, and Ryan, who I work with, who is very familiar with the water management districts and the DEP process, wanted me to point out that if there's some grant opportunities or particular projects that we want to pursue amongst St. Johns River and the others that we share, that be on our radar. So I wanted to just mention that. And then the last piece that I wanted to also mention, which was an issue that wasn't on the top of our priority list, but was something that came up more of kind of a localized issue, is municipal service areas and that relationship between when municipalities are expanding and trying to do things in territories that might be in the unincorporated area. We had drafted some potential language that we could run as an amendment or even as a bill. Representative Stone also serves as the chair in the House of the Utilities Committee. There were some reservations about opening up what might be more of a local issue and putting that in a statewide pot. You always have to ask yourself, be careful for what you ask for when you ask for help. But Representative Stone has asked his staff to look at the issue. He's looked at the language that we have drafted. They're going to analyze that, and during the interim period, we're going to make recommendations that if they can improve it or if there's another way of addressing when there's a conflict in those areas between a city and a county. So that may be another issue that we want to revisit and look at for how we want to approach next year. So that's everything that I wanted to just say about policy. There's more stuff in the report. You guys might have questions about other issues. In closing, I guess the last few things that I'll just mention, and I think you've already mentioned in your calendar, but I wanted to let everybody know about FAC. If you didn't know, it's next week. Hope to see some of you guys there. The other thing, and this is, Jeannie's going to remind me of this shortly, but I wanted everybody else to know too, this is a short year. So we really only get the summer off. It's not too early to be thinking about what we care about for next year. They will have committee meetings in the fall, and then the legislative session starts in January and then concludes in March. So it's expedited. So I know you're going to have to spend your summer doing your budget and getting all that, but I also wanted just to remind you, don't stop thinking about what you care about in Tallahassee. And I'll stop there, Madam Chair, see if there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'll open it to the board. Any comments? Yes,
Yeah.
Commissioner Bryant?
I just wanted to thank you for all your hard work up in Tallahassee. We all know that you're the boots on the ground when we can't be there, and when we do go up there, of course, we always get our briefings from you, and then we hit the ground running and get to work. And you're always a wealth of knowledge of what's going on behind the scenes, because there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So thank you for all your hard work as well.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Commissioner.
Anyone else? Ms. Rigmond, do you have something you'd like to add to this? Well, on behalf of the board, thank you so much, Mr. Smith. You do a phenomenal job being there every single day in session. Those 60 days are tough on everyone, and we all hold our breath on what's going to happen up there, but we certainly appreciate you keeping Marion County top of mind of those when we are asking for money, and we appreciate what's coming home to us this year as well. So thank you again.
Thank
and,
you.
Enjoy your day with us.
All right.
Thank you. Our next presentation is actually, will be 1C, and we've got the Project Public Health Ready Award from the National Association of County and City Health Officials. I'm looking for Mr. Mark Lander. He is the administrator of the Florida Department of Health in Marion County, and we welcome you, Mr. Lander. Great. Thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. How are we today?
Great.
Great. Good to see you.
Good to see you all. I am honored today to be here to recognize two individuals who have worked very hard over the last year and a half for what's called Project Public Health Ready Certification and Recognition. A little backstory on what we'll call PPHR is Project Public Health Ready is a criteria-based training and recognition program that the National Association of County and City Health Officials and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention created to help local health departments and communities develop core public health emergency preparedness competencies. This intensive 18-month program provides local health departments and communities the structure to build training and preparedness capacities using a continuous quality improvement model. Now, the objectives of PPHR, number one, first, to help emergency preparedness offices at the local level become fully integrated into the response community. A second objective is to build partnerships with our state and federal communities with regards to facilitating cross-sectional response action plans. And finally, what is the outcome of this is to provide a written all hazards plan that aligns with national and federal standards, and they look at criteria that, number one, falls under the CDC, PHP, or Public Health Preparedness Capabilities guidelines, the Public Health Accreditation Board standards and measures, and the Operational Readiness Tool, as well as the Homeland Security Exercise and Evaluation Program. So it's really, it's a pretty intensive, and it says 18 months, it's an intensive 18 months of not just checking boxes, it's actually reviewing plans, going over, exercising. To give you an example, right now, only 40 of our 67 counties of Florida have received this recognition. It has to be renewed every 5 years, so you don't just get it once and you're good to go. You have to renew it every 5 years. And on the last cycle, there were 10 health departments and communities and counties that applied, and I believe only 4 of them received recognition. The others were sent back to do more work before they can get their recognition. But the two individuals that I wanted to bring up and recognize, and I'm gonna read a couple brief statements. Number one is our emergency manager, Preston Bolin, and then Randy Ming. Come on up from the health department, our preparedness planner. This was a letter I received back in January. Now it's time to put these on. On behalf of the National Association of County and City Health Officials, I am pleased to inform you that the Florida Department of Health in Marion County has been awarded Project Public Health Ready recognition. PPHR recognition acknowledges your dedication and commitment towards public health preparedness. Congratulations on achieving this prestigious recognition. Goes on to talk a little bit about the process. But then we also, in May, received a letter from the Christy Luce, who's the Chief Bureau of Preparedness Response, or Chief of the Bureau of Preparedness and Response. On the behalf of the Florida Department of Health, Bureau of Preparedness and Response, I want to congratulate you and your team in Marion County for earning Project Public Health Ready recognition. Your efforts have built local capacity and capabilities that will ultimately protect public health and strengthen the public health infrastructure. I know the time and dedication it takes to meet these stringent requirements, so I was delighted to accept this award on your behalf. Thank you for leading a team of caring, motivation, preparedness planners, and emergency management that are making a difference. So with that, one other thing I wanted to add, we also received an email. This is kind of the icing on top of the cake. It said, it's good afternoon. After review of Florida's 2018 PPHR applications by NACHO staff and national reviewers, it was determined that Marion County had exemplary practices that would like to be recognized and listed, which was with our special needs shelter and our with the matrix that we've developed for the special needs shelter. And this was sent to our state lead. As the state lead, NACHO is contacting you to disseminate this information to Marion County and ask for their permission to share these sections of their application on NACHO's Public Health and Preparedness Health Ready Toolkit. The toolkit is a free online collection of local public health tools produced by members of the public health community for use by current applicants or others seeking to improve their level of preparedness. So not only were we recognized, one of the areas that these gentlemen worked on was recognized as exemplary service Iraq that will be listed on the national board for accreditation. So I think if you two will stand up, I want to recognize number one. I can tell you, I'm blessed to have what I feel is the best planner, and over several health departments that I've worked with, the best planner in the state of Florida. And also you have the best emergency manager. I've been doing this 29 years, and this gentleman right here, I have a cell phone, and he's not afraid to use it at all hours of the evening. So I appreciate everything he's done to strengthen our capabilities. But what we have and what I'd like to...
Mr. Lander, if so, let's bring them on stage, please.
Absolutely.
And recognize them a little bit more.
And what I have is we will post the original award at the health department, and I have two individuals for both Mr. Bolin and Randy.
Yeah, come right on up. You heard a lot about these two gentlemen, and I mean, we owe you a gratitude for what you do for us to make sure that we are prepared. And we've had to work that plan. And we came through, we made tweaks to that, and hopefully this year it won't be needed, but if it is, we feel that we're in great hands, and we just really want to offer up our thanks for the hard work and dedication that you have for our community. And this is certificates of recognition, I hope will certainly be something that you'll be proud of and something you'll display. And on behalf of the Marion County Board, that Commissioner Bryan is holding our recognition and award, we thank you, but it's all due to what's been done from the boots on the ground as well as these two leaders right here. So thank you. Would you like...
I'd like to say a couple things. Part of emergency management, it's a team effort. I will tell you, since Mark's been here, I've been in emergency management a little over 2 years, and Mark has also been, as a new director coming into Marion County, and his staff, like you said, I speak to my staff, and his staff talk pretty much on a daily, pretty much every day, weekends, the events, the things that happen in Marion County. So again, his staff is just fantastic. The staff in Tallahassee, we talk with them on a regular basis. And, since Mark's been here, I think the relationship with Marion County Emergency Management and the Marion County Health Department has been the healthiest and probably the most beneficial in the past, from talking to past staff from his department and also from emergency management. So again, I thank you, Mark, for your leadership and your staff's dedication. And like you said, they'll pick up the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're right there, ready to go to work. And I appreciate their readiness and preparedness and eagerness to work, and have been very easy to work with. So thank you, Randy. Thank you, Mark, and Craig as well, and all your staff. Thank you.
So I also want to add to this, because most people have no idea what happens when we have to get prepared for a named storm or an emergency. The countless hours, the days that you guys will spend at the EOC, which is our Emergency Operations Center. They don't go home. They sleep there. While they're taking care of everyone else in our community, their families have to fend for themselves a lot of the times. And so, we just need to say a big thanks to you too for making sure that our community is prepared, because there is a lot of hard work that not only goes into making sure that we're all safe when we do have a significant event, but then the planning for that event. And so thank you for all of the entities do. And it requires all of our constitutional officers, everyone in the county. But these guys really are the cog that keeps that wheel moving when we do have any kind of a significant event come to our community. So thank you for everything you do.
I'd like to just say one other thing that Commissioner Bryant brought out as well. But, it's not just the health department, and again, like I said, there's all other agencies, Ocala Fire Rescue, Marion County Fire Rescue, the hospital systems, everybody. And it's just not hurricane preparedness. This is influenzas, this is, other, wastewater projects. There's just so many things that the health department is involved in emergency management, but it takes all our partners to be successful. So again, I don't want to leave anybody out, but there's just so many other department agencies within the county that, again, that helps us be successful as a county. And I thank everybody.
Thank you again. And Mr. Lander, I'd be remiss if I did not say thank you so much for your leadership, and welcome to Marion County. You've been phenomenal since you've arrived. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. You guys are an amazing group to work with, so it makes our job easy. Thank you.
All right, photo time. Next, we're going to do a proclamation for National Garden Week, and I've asked Commissioner Bryant to make that presentation.
And I believe we have someone here from, excuse me, Jackie, from the Pioneer Garden Club. And do you have anyone else with you this morning? No one else. No, well, come on up. You don't get to stand down there. Good to see you this morning. I know, I saw that. So we have a proclamation on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County, Florida. Whereas gardeners have a passion for nurturing the beauty and resources of the earth through the planting of seeds, the care of all plants, and the riches of their efforts. And whereas gardeners seek to add beauty, splendor, fragrance, and nutrition to our lives through the growing of herbs, vegetables, foliage, and flowers. And whereas gardeners work to preserve our country's traditional spirit of independence and initiative through innovation and hard work. And whereas gardeners advocate the importance of all creatures, large and small, that share our world and their roles in a balanced and productive ecology. And whereas gardeners furnish a challenging and productive activity for our citizens, very challenging for me, for those just learning as well as those having years of experience. And whereas gardening promotes a healthy lifestyle that lasts a lifetime, helps reduce stress from other areas of our life, teaches that rewards can come from diligent efforts, And whereas gardening enables members of garden clubs across the nation and the world to make a world of difference in the communities where they reside and work. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in us, do hereby proclaim the week of June 2nd through the 8th, 2019 be known as National Garden Week. Duly proclaimed this 4th day of June 2019, signed by all 5 county commissioners and attested to you by David Elserman, clerk of the court. So we're going to go ahead and hand you that, and I will let you in on a little secret. So I have a black thumb. It is not green, but I recently remarried, and my husband has a major green thumb, and he is everything in that. So he brings it to life, and when he has to go, he says, "Don't forget to water my flowers," and all that stuff. But it really does make a difference, and thank you for what you do. And I'm sure that Pioneer Garden Club have anything going on this week that you want to talk about? Great.
Pioneer Garden Club has been in Ocala and Marion County for over 90 years as an organization supporting gardening and the love of gardening and plants, and also about our environmental concerns that we have. We have 2 major projects that we do for civic beautification. One is at Tuscaloosa Art Park, and we do a lot of the supplying of the plants there. And our second big project is at Silver Springs State Park. And we have 4 gardens there that we supply plants for and go work in them, and also help them with all their events. So we provide a big volunteer staff for them. And we have an event going on Friday, to salute the volunteers that work to keep Silver Springs State Park so beautiful, and we're supplying a little recognition for them. So that'll be this Friday for National Garden Week.
Well, very good. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for this.
We're going to take a quick picture.
Thank you again. Please.
Next up, we are going to have a presentation, and this is very exciting. We have a group of citizens who have spent quite a few weeks with us learning all about Marion County, and I'm going to turn this over to Miss Jeannie Rickman at this moment to share a little bit more detail and recognize these individuals.
Thank you, Commissioners. Jeannie Rickman, Assistant County Administrator for Public Services. Commissioners, through your support and much appreciation, the Citizens Academy opened its 9th year this past March with 10 weekly sessions packed with a lot of information, and the sessions concluded on May 16th. Many of the classes included tours of the facilities and services offered by the county, as you will see from the slides that are being presented here today. I want to thank the directors and staff for coordinating and organizing each session. I also want to express to our participants what a great pleasure it has been getting to know each and every one of them. They've been a delightful and engaging group, and it is our hope that each and every member enjoyed their classes, leaving here today with a profound knowledge of our services and processes and having a better understanding about our local government. So this morning, 28 participants will graduate, bringing our total number of graduates to 245 since the year 2010 when we reestablished the program. This class also includes 2 of our ideal team players who participated. Each participant graduating today will receive a certificate of completion, a class picture, a CD of class photos taken throughout the program which are being shown, and a county lapel pin, as well as an individual picture taken and will be provided to them following this meeting. So without further ado, I'm presenting the 2019 Citizens Academy class. So as I call your name, please come forward to accept your certificate and our tokens of appreciation and saying thank you for participating. All right, the first one, Jean Blackledge. Sharon Cassett. Paul Deschamps. And Commissioners, if you would mind coming towards Mr. Deschamps is on a scooter and can stand with you. Next, we have Jean Dominy and Richard Dominy. And as they come forward, I'd like to share with you that they are going to be celebrating their second wedding anniversary come July. And this couple was married underneath the old tree here on our south lawn 2 years ago.
Oh, we just got married under a tree, too.
Thank you.
Yours was a little farther away.
Huh?
Yours was a little farther away.
It was a little further away, yeah.
Diana Gonzalez. Okay, she didn't make it this morning. We can provide hers to her later. Bobby Haluska. Larry Hirschfield. And I missed one, Ellen Fasciani, I'm sorry. Nadine Howard. Jane Jones. Mary Kaufman. Ronald Millman. Andy Moya and Joe Moya.
Teachers were clapping. And I'd say thank you to Jennifer Rickman and, Jennifer Clark and Jeannie Rickman, herding us to get around from place to place, from county office to county office, and keeping us out of the hairs of the workers. It was like herding a bunch of cats.
Brenda Perrin and Rainey Perrin. Kathy Rake. Cassie Ripple. Dee Strickland.
Actually, I would like to say this is a phenomenal program. This is a phenomenal program. I particularly appreciate the support from the top. And I just moved down here 18 months ago, and I landed in a pretty terrific spot. I had no idea. It was all kind of luck of the draw. But I'm proud to be a Marion Countyite. Welcome home.
Jack Taylor.
Morning.
Ida Thompson.
Thank you. It is hot in here, right?
It is not.
Thank you. I want to tell y'all, I've been here 47 years and I didn't even know about this. So I thank you very much for it, and y'all need to get the word out so more people can do this.
Thank you. The next participant, graduating member, is Jeff Walzak, our ideal team player in public relations.
He's so fancy today.
You gonna tell us to shift to the left or what?
All right. Testing. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm very grateful to be part of the Marion County team. And this opportunity was very valuable for me. I was able to learn alongside with other employees and the residents. So I'm very grateful for that. It's going to overall help me be a better employee and a better resident. Thank you.
We have several that were not able to be with us today, and I'd like to recognize them. One being the other ideal team player, Charles Ryan, and from Parks and Recreation, Jerry Brandt, Terry Brandt, Denise Dejac, and Betty Ann Jones, and they'll get their certificates.
Well, again, we thank the citizens that have spent many weeks with us participating in the Citizens Academy. I hope you have enjoyed your time, learned a lot, and I hope that you'll share that knowledge with others and encourage others to join the next class and be a part of a graduating Citizens Academy with Marion County. So thank you.
So if I may, is there one of you that would like to share what you did learn and something maybe that you never realized? What was the most interesting thing that you learned through our academy? Come on up.
While he's coming up, I do want to remind this class, as well as previous classes, that we do hold a fall academy with our constitutional officers that begins in October. So stay tuned for that email.
Hi, my name is Laurie Hirschfield, and I came away with 3 conclusions from this wonderful class. Number 1, government is incredibly complex. Number 2, the Marion County government really does a job of working to be customer friendly. And the third thing I came away with is you do a great job of watching our money.
I think the most impressive thing that I came away with were the employees. I think the employees of Marion County were absolutely fabulous. The thing that I really admired most about them was the fact most of them, or a lot of them, came up through the system. There were people that started with Marion County as young people and have grown within the county. And I think it's an amazing feat that we've kept such great employees and they've done such a fabulous job. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, again, thank you, and I hope you'll go forward and be prosperous.
Thank you.
I do too. You just ignore him. No, this is a team effort. I want to thank all the employees that participated in making that experience for our citizens so enjoyable and knowledgeable. And again, thank you to the employees of Marion County who helped make the Citizens Academy such a great success. Let's honor them as well. That concludes our presentations, and we're a little bit late in getting into our public hearings, but we're going to go right in there. We will come back for our general public comment, so thank you for your patience as we move on into our public hearings. Madam Clerk, if we could please have a proof of publication, please.
I have a proof of publication of legal ad number A000952761, entitled Notice of Public Hearing, published in the Star Banner newspaper on May 20th, 2019.
Thank you so much. And at this time, I'm going to ask our attorney, Mr. Guy Minter, to give us the details on our first public hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 6A has to do with a public hearing regarding the hospital bonds that is being requested by the Advent Health System. The first thing we want to do is open up a request from anyone in the public here if anyone has any written comments, objections, or commendations you want to make regarding these particular hospital bonds.
Again, if we have anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this public hearing, which is the adoption of a Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act resolution on behalf of Advent Ocala and the issuance of the bonds. Being none, we'll close public comment.
Okay, that was just asked to written comments, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
So what we have here is something that's required by the Internal Revenue Code in order to maintain the tax exempt status of these revenue bonds. These revenue bonds for which the local government is required to approve these bonds relate to bonds that would be issued by the Highland County, Florida Health Facilities Authority and also the Colorado Health Facility Authority. As you can recognize, neither one of those entities are Marion County entities. However, the bonds that would be issued pursuant to this resolution that the board would adopt after the public hearing all relate to facilities that would be constructed or improved or maintained here in Marion County. A couple of other things that would be of interest to our local citizens is that none of these bonds would constitute a debt or a liability for Marion County government. And secondly, the approval of these bonds does not directly or indirectly amount to any type of zoning approval or other regulatory permit in connection with any facilities that might ultimately be executed pursuant to the revenues derived herefrom. So these bonds potentially could provide funding for both the Advent Health Ocala campus as well as the Advent Health Timber Ridge campus. We have with us today from Advent Health both Joe Johnson, the president of Advent Health, and Counsel Robert Foltz, if the board needs any further description of what the use of the proceeds would be for. Other than that, the board could open it up to public comment if there is any.
Thank you, Mr. Minter. Board, I'll bring it to you. Would you like the applicant to come forward? If not,
We can do it after public comment, that's fine.
we'll open up now public comment on behalf of this adoption. If anyone would like to come forward and address the board. If not, we will close public comment at this time. Mr. Johnson?
If you would, Madam Chair, and
Yes.
actually announce closing the public hearing, and then the resolution could be considered by the board following the public hearing. If you want to consider comments from the president, you can do that.
Mr. Johnson, do you have anything you'd like to come forward and?
You already do proof of publication.
We did proof.
I'll make sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Joe Johnson. I'm the CEO at Advent Health Ocala, also known as Florida Hospital Ocala, Inc. And I just want to say thank you for your consideration of this. This is something we are looking forward to establishing and benefiting our system here in Marion County. We have a lot of interest and a lot of exciting plans ahead of us, and this will be a great benefit for us to move forward. So thank you for your consideration.
Actually, I have a couple
Yes,
questions.
yes, Commissioner Zalek?
So, Guy, can this only be used by a hospital group? The tax exempt?
These are hospital bonds, yeah.
Specifically, right? And then, do you have to be a nonprofit?
I would think so, yeah. It says tax exempt bonds, yeah.
That's why I was just,
Yeah,
I wanted to
yeah.
ask so I understood clearly. And then, are all of the proceeds from the bonds being used in Marion County?
Yes.
And will they all be spent, or will the bonds be paid back before the lease is up with the hospital district?
That would be the plan, yes. That's a significant amount of time left on that lease, so yes.
Yeah, it's more than 30 years, so are the bonds longer than 30 years?
I'd have to ask our bond attorney, Mr. Bob Foltz.
Mr. Foltz, if you'll just give your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am. My name's Bob Foltz. I'm an attorney with Advent Health, and I live down in Bonita Springs. The question is, again, please?
Yes, there's a lease by Advent
Right.
Health with the hospital district that was taken over the previous lease, and so do the bonds expire before the lease is over?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if there was some other type of transition in the hospital district, these bonds would stay wholly responsible by Advent Health?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And you can't, just to underline the point, there's no county liability here. It's
Sure.
got to be clear, very clear on that. You do have to approve it because the federal government says you have to approve it to make the bonds tax exempt. But to give you an idea what you're talking about here, there's about a 1% spread between what a taxable bond would be and a tax exempt bond is. Now that's $10,000 every million, okay? So you start talking 100 million or so, you're talking, as they say, real money every year. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Foltz.
Thank you for answering those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Board, I'll bring it back, and we'll close that public hearing, and now we'll look at the resolution.
I'll move the resolution for approval.
Second.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Clerk, is there any responsibility on the clerk's office in recording?
None at
There's
all.
nothing, right? Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Our next public hearing is to consider approval and authorization to execute a termination of traffic concurrency development agreement between Marion County and TAO Marion Properties LLC, previously John B. Penn Jr. Good morning still, Mr. Eisen.
Good morning. Chris Risen with the Growth Services Department. This is a request for a formal developers agreement termination related to a property which is at Southwest 80th Street and Southwest 60th Avenue. It's approximately 97 acres. It was a site that obtained a comprehensive plan amendment in 2002. A developers agreement was required, and the duration of that agreement was for 10 years. So that agreement has essentially expired at this point in time. The property owner is looking to move forward. They've been in development review for a new set of plans for that project, and to arrange for completely clear title, they're requesting that a formal agreement or formal termination be processed. So staff is recommending approval of the termination agreement that's been proposed, and the applicant's here as well for questions.
Very good. Would the applicant like to come forward and make any comments at this moment?
Jimmy Gooding, 1531 Southeast 36th Avenue, Ocala. I represent the purchaser of this property, Marion 60, from TAO, and our development plan is a little different than what was originally contemplated by the agreement. I want to commend Mr. Risen for coming back. He's actually on vacation, but Sam made him come back. I was told just for this hearing. Now, they may have lied to me, but if they didn't lie to me, I want to thank Chris for doing that for us. There is one other issue. The agreement also provides that even though it expires, certain provisions still apply. Mr. Risen did a very good job in his memo to P&Z, which is in your agenda packet, pointing out that all those matters are now adequately covered by the county code and will be dealt with in our development stuff. So that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions.
I do.
Yes.
So,
Commissioner Zalek?
so how's it going to be handled then? The traffic study, the new traffic study is going to, I mean, because there hasn't been a zoning change.
That's been under review. The site is currently zoned A1, or R1, excuse me. And what they've actually been looking for is they've actually modified their development plan to provide for 2 entrances to 60th Avenue, which were negotiated when they obtained right-of-way for 60th Avenue from the site originally. That was one of the critical things at the time this project got its plan amendment for that site, was the widening of the roadway, in which that's occurred and everything was done. So one of those key items was actually taken care of since that agreement was originally approved.
Okay.
Actually, it was two of them. It was the
and the
widening.
capacity was there.
Go ahead. Well, it was two things, the widening of 60th and then the improvements at 260th. And since this developer's agreement was done in 2002, all those things have already happened. So those were the main issues
Correct.
with the developer's agreement relating to the traffic. The rest of it will follow normal development traffic
ma'am.
standards.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have anything else, Commissioner Zalek?
Sorry.
Okay. I'm going to pause for just a moment and ask our Madam Clerk if she'll please give us proof of publication.
I have a proof of publication display ad entitled Notice of Public Hearing to Consider Developers Agreement Termination for TAO Marion Properties LLC, formerly John B. Penn Trust, published in the Star Banner newspaper on May 28, 2018.
Thank you so much. At this time, do we have any other comments or questions from the board? If not, I'm going to open up public comment. If there's anyone in the public who would like to speak on this matter, I invite you to come forward now. See none, we'll close public comment. Any other comments?
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Bryant. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Risen, did you come back in here off vacation?
No, I did not. That was actually last week when I was gone, and so the P&Z meeting, and Sam covered that for me.
Gotcha.
So, thank you.
Okay. Hope you enjoyed it.
Always a great day when we pull one over on Mr. Gooding.
Madam Clerk, we have one more, which is a continuation. Do we need to do a public? Okay, thank you. Item 6C, continuation to consider Cedar Shores Industrial Park Road Improvement Area Project, and we'll turn it to Mr. Hubbock.
Thank you, Sean Hubbock, MSU Assessment Director. And this is a continuation to consider Cedar Shores Industrial Park Road Improvement Project. At our public hearing several weeks ago, we were given direction to evaluate the potential of installing sewer lines, and which also would require a lift station and also water lines. We had a meeting last Wednesday with numerous lot owners, and it was unanimous, including the gentleman that did the request, to move forward with just the road project. And I'm just happy to report that today.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Hubbock. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this matter? I invite you to come forward if so. If not, I'll bring it back to the board.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Bryant. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Move to approve the award of the contract.
Yes, thank you.
We have a motion by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Moore to approve the contract and the award of the contract. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
Anything else, Sean?
That will complete the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That closes all of our public hearings. We'll now go back into public comment. I have one person who has signed up to speak at this moment, and that is Suggs, Siradad Suggs. which Ms. Suggs, this item 7E1. If you'll please give your name and address for the record.
Yes, ma'am. Caridad Suggs, 6932 Fern Circle, Leesburger, 34748. The reason that I'm here today is because I had a place in Highway 42, and it was a mess, and I want to apologize for that. But the place is clean now. The only thing I had to do is cut the grass. But everything is gone in there, and I would like to know if there is any way that I can reduce my fine. I'm 82 and I live alone, and it's hard for me to pay whatever. I don't know how much the fine is, but they recommend me to come over here and talk to you all and see.
Actually, Ms. Suggs, we're going to be addressing that shortly. If you can bear with us a little bit longer, we'll pull that item when we get to our consent agenda.
Okay.
And invite you to come back up.
Thank you.
Yes.
Madam Chair, can we
Yes.
go ahead and pull it up now? Can we go ahead and move that forward
You
now
can
since
if you
we
want
don't have
to.
anybody else?
Absolutely. Since no one
she's
has
right
signed
here.
up, yeah, that's a great idea. Ms. Suggs, if you want to just stay with us just a moment, let us bring that item up, and we will take 71, which is a request to deny release of lien on code enforcement case. Excuse me. And I think Mr. Martzoff is right behind you. Ms. Suggs, if you'll just share that podium with him.
Share with you here. I'll make the presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Sam Martzoff, Marion County Growth Services Director. This item, she's requesting, as she said, a release of the lien on the code enforcement cases that were part of this record. And as she said, the violation was junk and litter. It went through several situations with the board, including a repeat violation, and the total liens against the property now are $2,150. She has made a payment of $50. Our administrative costs were $539 for a grand total now of $2,639.62. She appeared before the Code Enforcement Board on April 10th, did explain the situation with the eviction process and her problems with that. She has since carried out that eviction, and the property has been cleaned up. The Code Enforcement Board did recommend approval of a release of the entire lien. Staff has recommended denial of the release of the entire lien, and would certainly entertain whatever the board decides to do in a reduction.
Thank you, Mr. Martzoff. I'll bring it back to the board. Do you have any questions of Ms. Suggs?
Well, I do have a question here. There's a note on the agenda item that says that she can't afford to pay the fine, but she wants to sell the lot and pay fine from proceeds.
Ms. Suggs, can you give us an update on where you are with selling that piece of property that you intended to sell in order to reimburse the county on these expenses?
Yeah, I've been
and
trying
pay
to
the
sell
fine?
it for the longest time, but they told me to come over here first to be sure that I'll be able to sell it. And if I can sell it, I will pay whatever, I had to pay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Just a question. How much are you selling for? You're asking more than the 2,000 owed, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's, yeah.
So,
I still owe $9,000 in that property.
okay.
Okay, so you have enough.
Okay.
And the value,
It was like 8,700.
Well, we've got one at 8394 and one at 32511.
so which property are you trying to sell? All of them?
Yeah, the Highway 42,
Okay.
26267 Southeast 159. That's the only one.
Sam?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just trying to look at my notes here. So parcel 24, I'll just call it 24. We are showing a property market value from the property appraiser's office of $83.94. And then you have a note that says, and the values for the two remaining combined parcels, 23, what's the other one that's combined with 23 to make up that value of 32,511?
And that is parcel number, the 023 in the middle.
Uh-huh.
O 23, the parcel is track 25 of Hideaway Lake Nicatoon and track 26, so it's two tracks.
Okay.
1.12 acres combined.
Okay. And it's all combined into one?
Yes, ma'am. And this is improved with a 1994 mobile
Mobile
home.
home? Okay.
Taxes are unpaid.
Yeah, and she still owes $9,000 on it. All right. Hard cost, $539.62?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I mean,
Let's reduce it.
I think we can help you and we can reduce it, but we do need to at least get back what the county costs, what it cost us to go out there, which would be the $539.62. So I would move to reduce it to the hard costs of $539.62.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Bryant to reduce the fee to the hard costs of Marion County, which includes administrative costs and fees, at the total of $539.62. Second by Commissioner Moore. Any further discussion?
Yes, and Madam Chair, that $50 that we've already received would come off of the hard cost.
So can I still paying the $50 a month until I sell the property?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And
Thank
your new
you.
balance, if I'm doing my math right, should be $489.62.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And then if you sell the property, pay it off.
So we'll take a vote on reducing that since Ms. Suggs has already made $50 payment. That reduces that to $489.62. The board authorizes a monthly payment of $50 until this amount is paid in full. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
Ms. Suggs, thank you for being with us today, and we hope your property sells quickly.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Do we have anyone else in the audience who would like to speak concerning an agenda item? If so, I invite you to come forward. No further public comment on agenda items.
You can, yeah, you're good.
Then we will come back to, let's see. Mr. Clerk, that takes us to item 5, 5A1 through 5A17, and I believe we need to pull 5A6.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I request the agenda, as listed on the agenda, the budget proposals to be approved, please.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Moore to approve 5A1 through 5A17 with the exception of 5A6.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bryant. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That will next take us into our consent agenda. I'll start with Commissioner Gold. Do you have any items to pull?
7F4.
7F4. Commissioner Bryant?
Good.
Commissioner Zalek?
Yes, Madam Chair. If I may mention too, I think there's a couple good things on the agenda to mention. First, there are vets, helping vets. we're continuing to work with those guys, and the work that they're doing on for veterans is just incredible, and had a great Memorial Day celebration, and just want to thank them and all the nonprofits that continue to serve our veterans over there while it's on our agenda. We don't need to pull it though. Also, the revenue bonds that we just did for the hospital, as well as there's another company on here. If it doesn't get pulled, you know, great things are happening. Manufacturers are growing, and when manufacturing is growing in your community, and logistics, you know that good things are really happening. But then there are a couple that I like to pull: 7G1, 7G3, 7G5.
That's 7G1, 7G3, and 7G5.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. And Commissioner Moore?
Well, I was gonna do the 7G3 because it's 5A6, but you got it, so nothing.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'll ask for a motion to approve the
Move the
remaining.
balance.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Moore to approve the balance.
That's the 71 that we already did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. We'll start with Commissioner Gold, 7F4.
And mine's just a comment on there. I waited a little late to get with Sherry on the vision insurance, but I just wanted to bring it up to the board meeting that we look at this next year and make sure it's the best plan for the employees. The employees do pay 100% of this, so it doesn't come out directly from the county, but had some concerns brought to me about this plan. So she's already said that she'll work with us and give them a call and contact them, but might want to look at our vendors next year on it. And that's all I had, and I'll make a motion to approve it if you want.
Got a motion by Commissioner Gold for 7F4 with a second by Commissioner Moore. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Zalek.
All right, so 7G1, Madam Chair, is the utilities building remodel. Madam Chair, I think we should, I can get into the whole thing with you, or, but $250,000 for 7 additional offices is just too much money. I think they need to go back, reshape the plan, and bring us back something that is more affordable, that would scale across. And we've had this discussion about some offices, office sizes, office things. You know, I would think that maybe it's time that we probably go back to the drawing board in reference to understanding exactly what a standardized, at least a pretty standard fit would be. And instead of a lot of atypical things, I think, moving through. But from my standpoint, this could certainly be done differently and much more cost effective than $250,000 to add a net 6 or 7 offices. So if you want, I got the plans in front of me. If you guys want more information on that, the way that it's set up, I mean, instead of using the open space that's there, we're putting lots of walls up. Every time you put walls up, now we're tearing down electrical, we're tearing out electrical, we're tearing out AC duct, we're putting in new AC duct. We're just doing a lot of things that I can't believe this made it to our desk, to be honest with you. So.
If you don't mind, Commissioner, I would like staff to give you an update on what we are doing.
Sure.
And that's probably a very good discussion to have, because what we are doing, it's standard offices that we think they are needed for this operation. Commissioner Zalek may have a different idea how it needs to be set up, and if you would like to share those ideas with the board,
sure,
and maybe give us some good directions, what do you like to see done in the future? What we are bringing to you is based on the consolidation that we did between solid waste and utilities. And I think doing that is going to save us a lot of money long-term from having to build additional administration building at the solid waste facility. We think it's a good plan. We think it's needed. But I would like to have your directions and hear from Commissioner Zalek what exactly he would like to see done.
Sure.
So,
Jody?
Yeah. Mr. Kirkman, you want to give us a rundown of what you're doing over there?
Yes. Good morning. Jody Kirkman, Environmental Services Director. Basically, what we, working with facilities, basically proposed at the Bellevue renovation was to actually come in with some renovations on the first floor, not establishing the hard offices on the first floor, but cubicles, better use of space. Also improving security. Right now, through that building. There's many times I look up and I have people floating through. Right now, we don't have any really security in that building. Both these improvements will offer that. Really hard to put a price tag to that piece of it. But also upstairs, we are offering or proposing to put some hard offices for our managers. Right now, we do have managers that utilize the conference room, but that conference room also is supporting just our needs. IT uses it, other people use that. We're basically using my conference room little area in my office because we have basically an overrun in our conference area. So that's another thing that's proposed in this renovation. We also, for efficiencies, we are changing the lighting. We're proposing to bring LED into the entire building, again, for improved efficiencies. So we are gaining quite a few office spaces, both upstairs and downstairs. And again, it's to improve the efficiencies of that operation. I know County Administrator touched on it. By doing this, we've actually started moving people from solid waste, incorporating and opening offices up at the solid waste facility. In doing so, we're able to take some of the buildings on that site and actually repurpose them, and definitely slow down or maybe even suspend the needs for a future administration complex at solid waste. So this, moving forward, we're proposing, I believe it's approximately 3,400 square feet of improvement, renovations. The cost, it brings you into that $75 per square foot approach. Again, very reasonable. And again, working with facilities, I think they've brought a pretty good plan forward, if that helps.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Bryant?
So a portion of this includes some security upgrades as well. Security, period.
Yes,
since
ma'am.
We don't have
Yes, ma'am.
anything there. So, Madam Chair, what I would like to see us do is, instead of denying this, maybe continue it to our next meeting so that we could all go down there, get an informed view of exactly what you're going to be doing, and instead of just looking at drawing plans on a piece of paper, I think that, it might be a good idea for us to go down there and let you guys show us what you're going to do.
Okay. One of the other things I want to point out too in this bid, and again, facilities worked with us, and it kind of makes the price a little premium, is the contractor's going to basically work after hours and on weekends. So we don't interfere with our daily activities. We don't want to make it, tough on our employees or our customers. So that was another thing that was done. So I just want to kind of put that out there that's in the package too. So.
Is there not any way that we can do the work during normal working hours?
With the type of construction we're talking about, it would interfere with because, again, we have customers coming in and out all day long. We're answering phone calls. So just normal sawing, hammering, that type of thing, it would be an interference.
Very good. Yes, Commissioner Gold?
You know what that cost difference was?
I know Jared's here. He might be able to address it better than I can.
Jared Goodspeed, Facilities Director. We're about a 25% increase on labor on that, so I'm going to guess we're probably around the $15,000 range for the nights and weekends, and that does play into the safety for citizens as well. There's going to be loud noise cutting metal studs, taking apart ceiling grid. We have talked about isolating off some of these areas and doing kind of a phased approach. When we can walk it, I think that's a good idea for you guys to physically see what's going to be taking place in the remodel.
Thank you.
Very good.
So, Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Zalek?
So Monier was saying, first of all, the first floor, Joe, I mean, when you start putting in hard walls and glass how tall is the glass?
6 feet.
6 foot. I mean, that's not cubicles, right?
No.
That's hard wall construction, so that's wrong. I understand some of the security, but it's not like you have a bunch of people just walking around down there. It was a bank. I mean, pretty secure facility overall. The second thing is there's 4 offices downstairs for the existing. If you look here, the director's office, the deputy director office, these offices are humongous. I hope you go down there and look at it. You could put 5 people in one of these offices. and again, it was a bank's president's office. I mean, it's a fairly large office with conference room space in it already. This area over here, that's on this whole side of the bank, was open. It is open today, right? You can put plenty of cubicles. You can put all of the offices and then some that you want to add in just this one space alone, and put the conference room in without having to add. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brand new offices, all hardened, all totally enclosed. Now, when you do that, you've changed the entire dynamic of that entire room. So instead of adding cubicles to that room, or instead of adding fixed furniture or floating furniture, right? When we go to the ceiling, now he has to move the air duct, he has to move all the electric, he has to move everything else, and it's driving the cost through the roof to do this project. The headers are off. All these different things are off in the building style, and I understand the renovation. But for this to get to us at these kind of costs without looking for different options, it's frustrating at the end of the day. And so I don't know, all of these supervisors, Jody, who are these people, all 6 of these folks, who are they supervising? Where are those people located at?
Well, again, knowing that Environmental Services now has a staff of over 200 employees.
I want to ask you, just answer the question, Jody.
Well,
Commissioner Zalek.
I'm just asking.
Commissioner Zalek.
If
We will be respectful here.
I am.
if you want like individuals,
I want to know who these 6 people, who are they supervising and where are they located?
the managers, of course, that we have the managers, we have our field operations managers, we have our operations manager being the plant manager. Again, these people are located in the field, at our wastewater facilities, water facilities, those type of locations. We have a solid waste, of course, manager coming over, and of course, those people are located at the baseline facility. And we, of course, have the recycling centers throughout. So we have staff, of course, all throughout the county.
I understand.
That's what
So
we're
these
saying.
people are supervising folks in the field?
Yes, they do supervise people in the field. Of course, we have the hierarchy that goes down into the supervisor in different ranks, of course.
But their offices are where today?
Right now,
I mean, I know some
we
are in
have
solid
people in offices in the building, just basically in desk, if you will. So again, we're just not very well organized, professionally organized.
So at this point in time, it's been suggested that we table this to the June 18th meeting to give us all an opportunity to visit. I will ask the pleasure of the board.
I'll make the motion to table it until June 18th so we can look at, because, I do want to look at, we've got a lot of costs that are going to be coming up mostly in our next year's budget, and $250,000 is going to be significant. So, but I want to look at it definitely too. So go down there. So I'll make that motion to table it till the next one.
Second.
Got a motion to table 7G1 to June, I believe it's the 18th, by Commissioner Gold, second by Commissioner Zalek. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just by the way, so for instance, too, as we do these things, whether it's been the fire rescue, combining, changing our HD, and all of the hard costs that come with that, when we got told about that, again, for instance, then after that comes, we get all these CIP projects after that, all these different, now we have to put bunks in these places and all these different things. Well, when we were first told about it, of course, that didn't happen, right? Same thing with this. We have a little bit of a reorg. They come sell us on the reorg. Here's the reorg. Now here's all the back end costs. Never in the initial plan, right? Never in the initial reorganization. And I'm just asking if we can make sure the administration comes with a full, when we do these things, that we come with a full fixed cost, a real cost, over a year or two. This way we have a better planning horizon. Some of this stuff comes by surprise. I would have never, of course, supported another $1 million administration building at solid waste. We knew that wasn't going to happen. But we were also, unless you guys were told about this $250,000 renovation that was going to happen when we made the move.
I was told that there would be a need, and typically I do think until we get a director in place.
Sure.
To give them that opportunity, it may be difficult for administration to give us every single detail. But we would understand, and I was told, yes, that there would be some reorganization
Sure.
and renovation.
And again, and maybe it's my fault. I mean, I thought we were going to add a few cubicles, not a quarter
I know
million
that's
dollars.
your preference.
Well, I mean, just in general.
That's general.
Yeah, I mean, you have an open space. That's a pretty easy way to do it.
It depends on the activity level and what that individual is required to do.
I understand.
Supervisors, I do believe, do need some privacy, especially when they're talking with employees on occasion.
I don't have a problem with that. But again, most of their people are in the field.
I think we've already determined that we're going to go down and take a look at this. Commissioner Bryant?
Well, and I also think that in today's climate, security is an issue. And that's going to be
Absolutely.
something that we're going to face across all of our government buildings, offices, anywhere that the public walks in freely and walks out freely. We're going to have to start taking that into account. And unfortunately, it's just the way that our world is today. I mean, you can't put a price on someone's life.
Oh, no, we can build
So-
plenty of walls.
This is just tabled. We're just tabling it
Thank
for the
you.
next.
We're going to take it to 7G3. Commissioner Zalek?
This is the Granicus, this is just, I pulled this not because we need to have a long discussion about it, but this is just a great example of frivolous lawsuits causing the taxpayers to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to change things, and the citizens don't even live in it's frustrating. They don't even live in our community, right? So we settle this whole lawsuit. I hope that this is going to be okay. I'm not sold on Granicus or what they've showed us. I'm not I don't think it's the best technology out there, but the problem is with some of these bigger government agencies and the protection they can provide, you lose flexibility. And so, I don't know. Did any of you guys also have questions or thoughts on this thing?
The one thing that I'll point out is the group that sued the federal government, so maybe there's going to be a change so that they won't continue their frivolous lawsuits, because they'll change the federal law that enabled this lawsuit now that they're being sued. So that was the thing that I saw, was they made this group that keeps on doing these frivolous lawsuits and makes a ton of money doing frivolous lawsuits may have messed up when they sued the federal government. So that's why I'm hoping is that the federal government will put an end to these frivolous lawsuits. But yeah, I'd look into some of it. Yes, sir.
Commissioners, I need you to keep in mind that this agenda item is more than the lawsuit and what we are doing for closed captioning.
Correct.
It's also updating our website, totally renovating this website, and also replacing our agenda software.
But some of it's outdated.
And if you want to stay with what we have to, you can do that too.
So 7G3, Commissioner Zalek, do you have your questions answered?
And it needs to be passed with 5A6.
With 5 and 6. Yeah, I mean, is everybody okay with it? I just wanted to ask.
I've got all my questions answered. It's something that we need to move forward, so yes, I'm good with this.
I got my questions answered.
Okay. All right, so we'll move for approval then.
Second.
Along with 5,
A6.
8, 6.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Zalek to approve 7G3 along with 5A6, second by Commissioner Moore. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. And Commissioner Zalek, you also pulled 7G5.
Yep. Somebody else want to move it?
I'll move 7G5 for approval.
I'll have to second it.
Are we gonna have to do this every single time?
I was gonna ask, is there conversation as to why this is being pulled?
No.
Okay, so I've got a motion by Commissioner Bryant, second by Commissioner Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes with Commissioner Zalek dissenting on awarding the bid to Art Walker Construction. Mr. Mentor, takes us to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 8A is a request for consideration for a release of civil restitution lien by Miyoshi Wilson. And Ms. Wilson explains that she's been trying to either join the military or Department of Corrections, and in either case, the existence of these outstanding lien obligations are keeping her from pursuing those opportunities, and she's requesting the board to release the outstanding balance of $750 for one lien and $5,978 as to another civil restitution lien for cost of incarceration. So we present it to you for your action.
Thank you. Do we have Ms. Wilson with us today? Ms. Wilson, if you'd like to come forward, please. Thank you for being with us. I'll give you an opportunity to address the board with your request.
Good morning. My name is Miyoshi Wilson, and I'm here today because I have made bad decisions in my life, which everybody makes mistakes. But at the time that I made the mistake, I didn't know the impact that it'll have for my future, which I tried to go to the service, but the service denied me because of the lien. I have everything paid, which is my court costs and everything is paid on both cases, but this lien. And then I also tried to get a job at the be a correctional officer, and they also denied me because of this lien as well. And at the time, I have signed up for school, and I'm trying to get financial aid. They're trying to see if they're going to approve me to get the funding because they don't know what's going to happen with this lien. So that is why I'm here today, to see if you guys can reconsider this lien against me so I can better myself.
Yes, Commissioner Gold?
Yes, ma'am. Do you mind telling us what your original charges were, and were they adjudicated guilty, or?
I was charged in 2012 for petty theft. It was adjudicated guilty.
That's all right. What was the other? Were they misdemeanors?
Yes, sir. Both of them was misdemeanors. One happened in 2012, and the other one, I believe, is 2014, and I have been in no trouble since then.
There was a possession of cannabis charge, and two petty thefts and a possession of cannabis.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to consider the release of it.
Got a motion by Commissioner Gold to release these two liens and dismiss them. And yes.
Just real quick, I want to ask,
Is that a second to
No.
for
Well, okay, well,
consideration?
I'll do a second for consideration, but I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
Are you you mentioned you were going into military service, or are you going into corrections?
I tried to go into the military in 2000, I want to say like 13 or 14. I think it was 14 once I got into trouble the second time. I tried to go into the service, but they denied me because of the lien.
Right, but what are you trying to do now is my question. Are you trying to go into the military, or are you trying to go in corrections? What are you trying to do right now?
Right now, I enrolled in school at the moment, so I'm trying to see is they're gonna give me the financial aid, because it seems like everything that I've been trying to do, everything is coming back to this lien. So if they don't allow me to go to school because of this lien, obviously I have to pay it or something. But I did really want to go to the Air Force. That's really what I want to do.
Okay, because I'd love to see you serve our country that way, but yeah, so my second stands.
Thank you. So I've got a motion by Commissioner Gold, second by Commissioner Moore, and another question from Commissioner Zalek.
Do you have a letter stating that you were denied because of this reason? Military?
No, sir, but I can get it from the recruiter.
I think that's at least a good. I mean, I have not
can
heard
see
that
that
before.
would be the case.
To be honest with you, I haven't heard that that's the reason. It may be. That's not been something that someone's brought. I know when they do a certain stage of background check that it gets flagged as. Is that standard? I mean, the military would deny you for a.
I don't know.
I don't know why the military would deny you for with
Because
For
they said
interest
that
because you have a lien.
the fines wasn't cleared up. They won't accept you with any fines or liens against me.
It may be true.
That sounds reasonable.
Well, again, as we've discussed before, the lien is not a fine. The lien is not part of the sentence, so it's not a fine, but it's, as I've euphemistically called it, it's the hotel bill for staying in the county jail. It's to recover the county's cost of housing that individual, but it's not a fine in terms of this is part of your criminal sentence.
So it's attached to.
Madam Chair,
It's
I
on
got
the
a comment.
same order that the judge signs when they do the sentencing, but the state law differentiates between your punishment. Like, for instance, if you commit a first-degree misdemeanor, you could pay up to $1,000 fine as a punishment. But the number of days you spend in jail, that cost is simply a function of $50 a day times the number of days in jail.
Thank you, Madam
All
Chair.
right, so I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you paid all of your other costs associated with the court proceedings and all that?
Yes, ma'am. Everything is paid.
When did you pay those?
I paid, when I got in trouble in 2012, all of that was cleared up in 2012. And in 2014, when I got in trouble, I cleared those up as well.
Okay, so here's my question for you, Ms. Wilson.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew that this lien was out here.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you attempted to pay anything on this lien?
No, ma'am, because I actually didn't know anything about when the military denied me because of the lien. I just left it alone because I knew, well, I didn't even know anything really about this lien. How I found out about this lien is when I applied for a correctional officer position, and then they emailed me back and told me that I had fines that wasn't paid. So what I did, I went down there to the courthouse and asked them about what fines, because that I knew of, all of my fines was cleared up. And then that's when they told me about the $50 a day. They told me about this lien. And they said everything is cleared up. The only thing you have is this civil restitution lien for being in jail. So I'm like, okay, so that's basically what's holding me. So I asked them how much was it, and then that's when they wrote down how much it was and everything, and they told me to come over here.
And when was that?
This was, I think, probably like 2 weeks ago. I believe it
And
was.
when did you try to get into the Air Force?
This was 2014.
So it's been a while. Yeah.
All right, so you've stated that you were denied getting into the Air Force because of this lien in 2014.
Yes, ma'am.
And now you just stated that you didn't know anything about this lien until about 2 weeks ago.
I didn't know like exactly what this lien was about.
So in 2014, when you were denied going into the Air Force for this lien, you didn't bother to go and find out what it was or to attempt to make any payments on this?
No, ma'am, I didn't at the moment because I didn't know that this was gonna hold me from ever. Like, just because they denied me from the service, I mean, it's other jobs and stuff. And now that I see this is keeping me from even getting a federal job.
Okay, but my problem at this point now, Ms. Wilson.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that you've known about this since 2014, and you haven't even attempted to make a minimal payment on it. You could have been paying $20 a month.
Well, ma'am-
something, because these are hard costs that it costs the citizens of this county for, and I understand that you're trying to, do better and all that, and I applaud you for that. But at some point, you also have to be accountable for taking some initiative to pay some, or to take care of this.
Well, ma'am, at the moment, I still, in 2014, I got in trouble again. I had to pay money for what I was in trouble for as well, and I have not had the money to pay anything towards the lien. I haven't had any money. I mean, if I had the spare money, even if it's $5, $10, something is always better than nothing, but I haven't had it.
Okay.
So we've got a motion by Commissioner Gold to approve waiving
Can we
her,
approve that she's
excuse me,
enrolled?
we've got a motion to approve her request to release the civil restitution lien and the judgment and sentence for cost of incarceration. That was the motion by Commissioner Gold, second by Commissioner Moore.
And I just have a request, maybe if we could amend the motion, that she proves that she's actually enrolled in school, that we have some proof, or military, either one, you know, for this, but either school or military, but we have proof, you know.
Commissioner Zalek?
I don't mind having some flexibility, but at the end of the day, like when the other gentleman was in front of us, you know, he was trying to get a mortgage. I understand the mortgage papers, they're not gonna do it. They can communicate with our attorney's office. You know, for this, I think we just need something, you know, in order to waive it for myself, you know. She doesn't have to get a job in the government sector. If you get a job in the private sector, they're not gonna do, unless it's a level 2 background check, I believe, you're probably not gonna need this, is what my understanding is, but if I'm wrong, that's fine. So if this helps her get to the next level, that's fine, but if it doesn't, if it just takes this off,
Correct.
what does that do? That,
Right,
I mean,
that's where I want it.
with all due respect, man, there's hundreds of thousands of people that owe us money,
Yes, sir.
you know, and so I don't mind giving you a chance, but we need something to demonstrate. I think we needed something on our side to demonstrate that it's really going to help you get to the
Right.
next step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you can show me some kind of form based on that was a denial and that they'll accept you if not for this, then I'm good.
Last question now. So you're currently applied with Florida Department of Corrections, correct?
Yes, sir. I applied a couple of months ago.
I think what Commissioner Zalek's asking is if you contacted someone with the Florida Department of Corrections and told them that your liens would be satisfied, would that make any difference in them?
They didn't give me a number to contact, but they did send me an email. I don't know if I can email that person.
Sure, you can find somebody on there. So I would say it would be contingent on, I don't even know how to even word this one, to be honest with you, now without just withdrawing. I can leave the motion in place, and if we want to vote against it, if that's the desire, or vote for it, but, or change your second, because I don't know how we're gonna word this one.
I'm sorry, Mr. Minter.
It sounds like we're simply asking for a written verification from someone in the Department of Corrections that they will not consider an individual for employment unless they have satisfied any outstanding civil restitution liens. And if they tell us that, then that would be consistent with what Ms. Wilson's appeal to you is.
Yeah, but I think if she applied and got rejected, are they gonna rehire her?
Well, again, her presentation to you is she got, her application really wasn't even considered when they found that she had these outstanding liens. But that's, all we have on that is her verbal statement. I think what the issue is we would like some written confirmation from the Department of Corrections itself that they will not consider an applicant if they have outstanding liens.
Excuse
Or at
me.
least support what her statement is.
Yes.
Excuse me. I have an email from them.
Is that the same for us?
I have an email from them with them stating that.
So the email that came from the Department of Corrections states that because of the civil liens, you will not be considered for employment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I can withdraw my motion, we can table it till she's able to bring something, put on a later date, or I can remove my motion.
Whatever the pleasure of the board is.
I would rather table it.
All right.
Okay,
Bring it back.
Okay. So,
I gotta make a motion to withdraw my earlier.
I think so.
So I'll withdraw my earlier motion, and then I'll make a motion to
And
table
Commissioner
this.
Moore withdraws a second.
Yep, so, until we can get some more documentation.
Make a motion to table
Second.
until we have proof of a verification of either being in school or that you get a letter from the Department of Corrections stating that they will not accept you because of those fines. And like I just asked the county administrator, just so you know, I mean, we don't look at them for Marion County. So there are, again, I would think that there are tons of opportunities out there in this job market with that.
I think you could have just made your motion contingent upon her providing that proof.
Yeah, I can go get my school letter right now.
So we're going to close.
Bring it back to the attorney's office.
Yes.
Okay.
So all of those have been withdrawn. The motion is made by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Moore to table this until proof has been received, that written verification that the Department of Corrections will not consider you for employment, and if it's the Air Force will not consider you, again, based on these liens, before we'll consider this again. You can take it to the attorney's office, and this item will come back before us once you've provided that proof. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Ms. Wilson, our office door is, if you go out here, and it's the first door to the right, so whenever you have that, you can bring it back to.
So do I just bring it back?
If somebody will just get with Ms. Wilson, yeah, they'll
She knows
help
in the
you and
back.
direct you.
Lady in the white sweater?
There we go. Thank you. Mr.
All
Mentor?
right. So the item 8B, Madam Chair, this probably could have been a consent agenda item, but it's a request for board approval of a tolling agreement between Marion County and G2 Energy LLC. This tolls the statute of limitations while the parties are trying to work out a resolution of an ongoing dispute between the county and G2 Energy.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Bryant, second by Commissioner Moore. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. You have anything else, Mr. Mentor?
Just, I'll give you, the board, a heads up. Of course, back in November, among the constitutional amendments was the Amendment 4 that provided for restoration of rights of convicted felons. And so the legislature, I believe, has passed Senate Bill 7066. I've still got to look at it carefully. Some of the wording's a little complicated, but nevertheless, it may be part of that bill that the Senate is saying we're going to require any convicted felon to not only have completed their sentence, of incarceration, but to pay off any outstanding financial obligations, which would include these kinds of things. So this may result in an influx of requests to the board for the release of these liens, not just for purposes what we're having today, but for purposes of restoration of their civil rights. So that's
Well, they
something.
better start paying on them.
And again, we don't have any sort of a collection process on this.
I've been looking into that. Actually, the clerk's office has a process, and we have a collection agency that some of our departments use, including like utilities and some of our other departments that have.
EMS,
Right.
medical service.
Yep. So anyway, I'm looking into that.
Okay, great. That'd be nice to get something established if we could.
Okay.
I think we've kind of talked about that. Okay, Mr. Boyonis?
Good morning, Commissioners. The only thing I have on my agenda is an update from Fire Rescue regarding Empowering Marion. And before I say that, I wanted to remind you, I want to remind you about your suggested names for the 2020 Census Committee. That will be an agenda item for the next meeting. So if you have any names you wanted to suggest for us to reach out to check with them if they would like to serve on that committee, please pass them on to me today. With that said, Chief Banta.
Good morning, Commissioners. James Banta, Fire Chief. I'm here this morning to give you an update on Marion County Fire Rescue's portion of Empowering Marion for Success. And thank you. I also thank you for your continued support of Marion County Fire Rescue and our department. We had set 13 action items for Empowering Marion. I'm pleased to announce that 7 of those items are considered complete, while we still have 6 in progress. So this morning, I just take a few minutes to kind of highlight you on some of the more prominent ones. The first one would be the capital purchases through petty sales tax. And I'd also like to thank the citizens for supporting the sales tax. It's been a godsend to our department and the county in general. Part of the penny sales tax, we've been able to rebuild Rolling Greens Fire Station 28. We're nearly completed with that project. We're looking at a grand opening early August. We have purchased numerous fire engines, refurbed fire engines. We currently have a ladder truck that's in production right now, along with our second heavy rescue. And we've been purchasing about 6 ambulances a year, replacement ambulances a year through this funding. We also purchased 300 self-contained breathing apparatus, state-of-the-art breathing apparatus for our firefighters. And we're currently in the starting the design phase of an EMS station, the first truly designed station for EMS only in Marion County's history. Another action item we're proud of is our recruiting and retention, which ties into one of the complete items of employee salaries and raises, which have been effective. 2 years ago, we had vacancies of around 55. I'd like to say today, with the last hiring class that we're bringing on board, we're going to be down into single-digit numbers with our number of vacancies. So a great progress in the last couple years with that. We currently have 44 paramedics or EMTs planning to go to paramedic school, and employees that have left the organization since January are only 9, and 6 of those that actually left the first responder EMS fire service altogether, and 3 went to other departments around the state. Our class that we're hiring right now for new employees, was largest in the last 5 years with 18 paramedics and 14 EMTs, so we're excited for them to get started. And then along with recruiting, we have our Ocala-Marion County Partnership Mentorship Program, which is very successful, and we're extending 7 job offers for county residents, city and county residents that meet the obligations of the mentorship program and funding their tuition through school, and then they will come work for us. And then our Career Academy, we've offered 7 more job positions to high school graduates. Again, those 2 programs I'm looking at being the true feeder process into Marion County Fire Rescue. The next action item would be cancer prevention initiatives. So cancer in the fire service has been recognized and become very prevalent over the last several years, and Marion County and Marion County Fire Rescue takes that serious, and we've been taking that serious. Along with county funding, we've also been awarded a grant to install direct capture exhaust systems into all county fire stations. That will eliminate nearly all carcinogens that are brought into the fire stations through fire apparatus. We've also initiated multiple policies for our employees to follow, which help reduce cancer. Simple things like wearing rubber gloves when you clean your gear after a call. We all wear rubber gloves because we don't want to get blood on our hands, but you don't think about it from a carcinogen type of impact from our dirty gear. Hood exchange program. So the Nomex hoods we wear have been proven to increase your chance of thyroid cancer. So now, through policy changes, every firefighter after a fire is given a clean hood, and they're taking their dirty hood. Back in the days when I was on the line, you kept your dirty hood forever until you just couldn't wear it anymore because it stunk so bad. Okay, so we're changing the way we do things in the fire service to help prevent cancer. And then that ties into health and wellness, which we have multiple health and wellness initiatives for our firefighters to maintain fitness levels, and we're really as a county and as an organization supporting firefighter fitness. And then the last one I want to mention is growth monitoring. We all know that growth in the county is good, but it also brings an increase in demand for service. So we're on top of that. We have a master plan we're following. We're developing a strategic plan that will be brought to you sometime in November, and all that's going to look at our growth over the next few years, several years, and our need to increase capacity in the system. So with that, take any questions or comments. And
Board? Yes, Commissioner Moore?
One thing I appreciate is your work on, the carcinogens, because back on air, I think you were still ACA when that gentleman came up to Ocala Fire Rescue. He was from Miami-Dade, but he did a thing about reducing some of that. And that got introduced back when Monier was, before he was in current position, but a lot of the stuff you're initiating and went into, was brought up at that time and kind of got some pushback. So I really appreciate you taking the lead on that and making sure our guys are safe in that respect. So thank you, sir.
yes, sir, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? We appreciate the update, and a lot of things still in progress. Thank you for the work that's being done. Mr. Boyonis, did you have anything else?
That's all
in
what I have,
closing?
Commissioner.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief. No other items. We'll bring it. That does deserve a round of applause. Single-digit vacancies are amazing. So great work. I'll take it now. Committee items, Mr. Ellspermann.
Yes, ma'am. Tourist Development Council is 10A. Jeff Bailey received the appropriate votes.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Zalek to approve Mr. Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
10B is Rainbow Lakes Estates MSD Advisory Committee. James Johns received the appropriate votes.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Gold for Mr., what was his name?
Johns.
Johns. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. We next have a request to approve to advertise for planning and zoning
Moved.
for an alternate. We've got a motion by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Ellspermann.
You're welcome.
We'll next go to items of notation for action, 11A.
I'll move 11A through 11C.
So moved. Second.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Zalek, second by Commissioner Moore to approve 11A through 11C. All
Madam
in
Chair,
favor?
only
Oh, excuse me.
I know.
Yes.
on item 11B,
Yes.
if you would consider to be at 2 p.m. Or as soon thereafter.
That was 2 p.m.
It says 2 p.m. I wanted to add or soon as thereafter.
Okay.
So 11B,
Start zoning at 2, and this hearing may not come till later.
the motion by Commissioner Zalek to approve 11A through 11C with 11B, including the verbiage of or as soon as thereafter possible, and seconded by Commissioner Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Still looking,
Second, we'll be here.
11D and 11E.
So the second at the evening, is that okay with everybody? I just want to make sure.
I'm
Before I
good.
move that
Yeah.
one.
Wait a minute, which one are we talking about?
July 2nd.
On
I don't know why we would
11D,
want to do that at 5:30 that evening.
we've got,
Because I think a lot of people are going to be,
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
so it sounds like we've got,
everybody good?
Yes, sir.
5:30 on July 2nd?
mhm.
All right.
Th-
I'll move
That's
for
a
approval.
board day.
Yeah.
But
And
just a
I
morning
don't know
meeting.
if one of the meetings have to be at night, Sam.
It must be.
Because if not, just
Does it have to be that
2
one?
o'clock.
Because on
Do you
July
have-
16, you have
Oh,
zoning all
You have
afternoon.
an issue with that one, Commissioner Zalek? Do we need to make
It's-
adjustments on your
I mean,
back?
listen, commissioners, I can always do something different, but it was typically we're done at noon or 1 o'clock.
Right.
Come
Yeah.
back at 5:30.
I know one meeting by the code is supposed to be at night. I'm not sure if this doesn't carry the caveat that
Does it have to
a
be the first one?
supermajority could make it two-day
No, I'm asking you,
meetings.
does it have to be the first meeting?
No, sir. No, it could be either meeting.
So could we flip them?
You can
July
flip them.
16th.
Yeah.
Which, that's a zoning day,
Right.
not knowing what that agenda may look like.
I'll be happy like all of them.
The reason we didn't do that, because I don't know what kind of zoning you're
Yeah,
gonna
no.
have, and sometimes you don't zoning wear you down.
Yeah, I
Well,
understand.
yeah, that would be a law.
Is everybody good with the way it is?
Yes, sir.
All right, I move for approval 11D and 11E.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Zalek to approve 11D and 11E, second by Commissioner Gold. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We will now go into general public comment, 12A, and I've got one person who has signed up to speak for 5 minutes, and that is Lenny Acosta. Mr. Acosta, if you'll please come forward. And behind Mr. Acosta, I've got Justin Kilcrease. Justin.
Good morning, first of all, board and ladies and gentlemen. My
Mr.
name is Lenny
Acosta.
Costa,
You'll give your address for the record, please.
Silver Spring Shores, and
Your full address.
54 Oak Pass Loop, Ocala, Florida 34472.
Thank you.
Just know I'm a disabled veteran at 100% by the Department of Defense and by the VA. The reason I come to you is that 2 weeks ago, a lady in her young 50s, my neighbor the house was broken into, beaten to almost nearly death, and also her dog. The safety is coming, down. I had to get an ADT system, and it put me back into Iraq, where I had to start protecting myself again. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that Silver Spring Shores is a major safety concern. Your crime rate is above average, is 1.22, and the assault is over average from 2.69. Personal crime is 1.83. Robbery is up 2. So Silver Spring Shores is coming up with the crime rate and everything else. Safety is, these sheriffs show up, they did their job. But unfortunately, their safety was on their safety wasn't the safety was at risk too. There's no significant lighting through Silver Spring Shores. Anybody could be hurt, attacked, robbed, beaten, raped. That was another statistic too, that your rape is way high too in that area. Why I'm here is basically is that we need to get more sheriffs, more police, more public safety out there. And another thing I was requesting is that you guys get some street lights put up too. Not even for consideration for the kids too that play. I went to the other department, MSDU, and they told me, in a way, it's my problem. And in my way, I felt like I was disrespected. Basically, pushed it aside. And excuse me about my emotions, because this is nerve-wracking. That's what I'm basically coming at today, is just for you guys to not put us in a program where Silver Spring Shores is a part of you guys more than just a stepchild pushed away. So hopefully you guys understood what I was saying. And like I said, I do apologize. I have PTSD and TBI, and my brain's there, but it's not.
Well, Mr. Costa, we appreciate, first off, the service that you've given to our country. I'm sorry that the events of your neighborhood have caused some emotional pain for you as well. There is help for that, and our Veteran Services can help direct you. Have you made contact with them at all?
I've already made contact with the VA. Believe it or not, I'm in the fight with the VA just to get corrective medical care. I even have to I even contacted the White House. And my next thing I did yesterday, believe it or not, was I got in contact with my congressman that's stepping in because veterans are getting treated like we're nothing still.
Marion County has Veterans Resource Services. That is one of our departments that is designed to help you, as well as all of us. And your county commissioner to my right here, Commissioner Moore, will be happy to assist you with the congressman as well. If you would like to just step next door and leave your contact information, a phone number of how you can be addressed and contacted, I'm sure that he will help make sure that you get connected with the congressman, as well as for the issues out in Silver Spring Shores, the lighting. There is a process that must be gone through to add additional lighting, and Commissioner Moore, would you address that with him at that time in the future? So if you'll just leave your contact information, and Commissioner Moore will be talking with you about that process. No disrespect whatsoever, but government does have a process that must be followed before we take action on items. Commissioner Bryant, did you have anything?
I just actually have a question for Monier and possibly Cheryl Martin. Would there be any CDBG funding that, I mean, with some of the, and we know we have different areas within the county, and we've been doing some things out in Silver Springs itself, but could this be something that we could possibly look into for some possible CDBG funding if we had areas that met requirements where the street lighting was needed for safety?
So Cheryl Martin, Community Services Director. The answer to your question is yes. If areas within the Silver Spring Shores is identified within the qualified census tracts, as you may recall, we are funding a water sewer project in Silver Spring Shores, which is a 5-year project. What I will tell you is, and we're going to be bringing it to you guys at the July 16th public hearing, is all of our funding at this point is committed.
For this year?
Yes. But we can absolutely begin talking about it and plan on future funding in the near future.
Very good. Thank you. So again, Mr. Costa, when you walk out, if you'll just walk straight into the office that has County Commissioner across the top, Nadja Griffiths will take your phone number for further contact.
Right, and she can set up a time you and I can sit down and talk.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and God bless you. I also have Justin Kilcrease, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am. Justin Kilcrease with the Florida Forest Service. Just have a general announcement for the board and for
You'll
the
just give
public.
your address for the record, please.
Okay, 6675 Northeast 40th Avenue Road, Florida Forest Service. And upcoming, we have 2 state forests in Marion County. One of them is Ross Prairie State Forest out Highway 200 in Commissioner Bryant's district. And we have a public hearing announcement for Thursday, June 27th, 2019 at 11 a.m. And that'll be held at the Marion County Public Library, 2720 East Silver Springs Boulevard in Conference Room C. That is open to the public. We have a management plan advisory group with which Commissioner Bryant is a part of, and some other members in the community that make up that group to go over the management plan, to make recommendations, and to help approve that. The public hearing will be at 11 a.m. So we will hear from the public any ideas or recommendations that they have to put forth in this plan before it goes up to Tallahassee to the ARC committee.
Very good. And what was that date one more time, please?
It is on June 27th on a Thursday at 11 a.m.
At our library, Conference Room C.
And thank
Very
Thank you for
good.
coming. I was just glad you were you going to say how good your neighbors were? I
How
didn't
good my
recognize
neighbors
them,
are,
so.
yes. And I wasn't gonna ask for any money either, so.
Thank you, Mr. Gilcrease. We
Thank
hope
you for
many
the-
people will come out and participate in that process.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Do we have anyone else in the audience who would like to come forward for public comment? If so, please come forward.
You asking Juan to speak?
And if there's anyone else, I've got a second podium. I'll invite you down.
Good morning.
Morning.
Roger Nectel, 12727 Southeast 97 Terrace Road in beautiful Summerfield. I got just two comments. Advent Advent Hospital. I didn't want to say anything in front of them, but my wife was twice had to go to Orlando because that was their big hospital. Initially, she thought it was a waste of mileage going back and forth, but after having a major surgery there, they do a lot of praying there. And while she was coming out of surgery, their doctors and nurses were around there and they were praying. And it appeared that she thought she was heading to heaven because when I walked in the room, she started crying because she didn't figure I'd be in heaven. But anyway, it's a great hospital. No, really, it became a negative. She really, and that's really serious when a person is praying they're going to hospital, they're going to heaven. I need her. She cannot go to heaven. The second thing is, we talk about security on our buildings where the public is there. Pawn shops, you don't see anybody robbing them. People are very nicely at pawn shops. Money loaning places, gun ranges, at the sheriff's office, people are very polite. It's all about the gun. I really wish there was none, but I do carry one. Not here, but I do carry one. And I think no matter how far we go, how sophisticated the world goes, we still have the right and should carry a gun to it. It gets to be a point where people realize I'm not going to do anything in that building. And that's the atmosphere you have to have there. Any other security doesn't equal that. That's all I can say. Whatever that's worth. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Nectel. Do we have anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? If you'll just give your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am. Bruce Borders, 21535 South 441, High Springs, Florida, 32643. If you heard that, my address, I'm not from here. But anyway, first thing here, I didn't know if I was going to make it today or not till yesterday morning. I got a call. We lost a great, not just American hero, a hometown hero, Lieutenant Drake. And I thought it was, and y'all know my group is Standing United as Americans, and we're the only group in America that honors and remembers our great American heroes, fire and rescue, law enforcement, military. I've already talked to the fire department, and our prayers goes out to them, and also whatever, it's not what you want. It's not what the fire department wants, it's what the family wants. Family comes first. So any way we can help out, we'll be glad to help them out. And we need to remember the family. And a lot of people's already asked, well, did the man die in the line of duty? I said, he sure did. Well, we heard that he died of disease. Let me tell you what, in my eyes, he died in the line of duty. Okay, the next thing there is I'm pretty upset and everything there, but Mr. Leroy Baldwin was a good friend of mine. It's been voted on Tallahassee. Mr. Commissioner, Chairman, Madams, your husband's up there. We got another county commissioner that used to be on the board here. It's up there. When you vote on something and the state votes on it and they approve it and everything, they are they're liable to do the thing. So I've been told that the turnaround has been done away with. You can't do that. If it's been voted on, and it's passed, then I don't care if you get a new DOT man or not, you know?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mortis. I'm sorry, but your time has expired.
I got one more thing. I promise you I won't be over 20 seconds. Okay? And I also want to thank the world's top veteran service officer. We got the best one in the world.
That's true.
And it meant a lot to me. This year, I brought in the young Marines to help me out, and they were just as through everything. And another thing, if y'all county commissioners, I don't care, y'all still have anything to do with schools. A lot of them kids, even them in that, they don't know what the riderless horse is. They think somebody's coming to ride the horse. It's honor and memory of somebody that gave their life, you know, for our country. And the last thing there, what about you? This goes to Miss Bryant. Ma Barker's Park. How's it coming?
How about if we make a time for y'all to have this conversation? It is set up. Ma Barker's Park is set up. Perhaps you'll get to visit it.
We getting in car and everything?
I'm sorry?
We're gonna get a car?
Get a car.
Yeah, one of the cars.
I don't have those details, but thank you.
Thank y'all for your time. God bless you.
And you.
And I want to thank Mr. Moore. Every time he sees me, he helps me out. Every time.
Is there
Ain't one of them
anyone
people
else?
that does like that. Have a good day. God bless.
You as well. Thank you for what you do. Anyone else in the audience, please come forward if you'd like to address the board at this time. If not, we'll go into commissioner comments, and I'll start with Commissioner Zalek.
I'm good, Madam Chair, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Gold?
Nothing.
Commissioner Moore?
Just real quickly on the shores, in our thing here, there was repaving within the shores, so, you know, just thing to highlight since the gentleman said that. And I always like to thank our first responders, our 911, everybody that works day in, day out to keep us safe. Thank you for what you do, and thank you to all our employees who work day in, day out to keep Marion County great. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bryant?
Got nothing today.
Okay. This meeting, I'm going to reserve my comments and save them for another time as well. So thank you, everyone, for being with us. Our meeting is now adjourned.